so let's start with the basics. So you're in Photoshop, you've got your document, right? And at this point, you'd like to do something with it, right? So let me show you a couple quick button tools. First of all, if I hit Shift F, see how I can make everything go away, and Shift F again, it's kind of hard to see, but in this particular case, I have it floating in a window. So just Shift F through, and you'll see that you have different options. I tend to like this one, where I don't see anything but this, although for some reason it's showing, this is showing up down here, and I can't seem to get rid of it right now. Oh well. Okay, other things you need to know about. This is your options panel up here. Obviously, this is some controls, so if you want to open up a new file, etc., etc. And then this is your tools panel and your layers panel. And if you're like, wait, I don't have those, check it out. If I close my toolbar by hitting the X, it goes away, go to Window, Tools, and it comes back. Same thing with layers, again, Window, Layer. So that's how you find those if you don't see them currently. And if you'll notice, mine might look different than yours. Yours probably looks like this. So if I click on those double arrows, it gets shorter again. And here are all the tools. And if I mouse down on anything that has a tiny little white arrow by it, there actually are more options. So I just kind of click on those, and I can see that there are more options. Sometimes what you're looking for might be hidden. And honestly, if you use Photoshop enough, you just learn to memorize where everything is. Again, to move this over, I'm holding down the space bar, and I'm just shifting this over so I can see my layers and I can see my tools at the same time. Now, if I just want to go ahead and start using one of these, like our favorite one is the paintbrush tool, so there it is. The options up here will change. So you can see that depending on what I click on, I get different options up here. So if I grab the paintbrush tool, not the history brush tool, by the way, that's a common mistake people make when they're starting out, the brush tool, I can change the size of my brush, I can change the type of brush I have. There's ways of even loading up brushes that, like you might look at mine and say, I don't have those brushes. I can load brushes that I don't originally have on here. So, for example, I can get this brush and I can change its size, right? Whoa, that's really big. Or whatever. Now, if I want to change its color, down here I double click and this pops up. So for example, if I wanted to scroll up or scroll down, get a different color like this lovely shade of green. So I click there and then I say, okay, now I have green. And by the way, I can toggle back and forth between these two colors. So I could go to my background color, my foreground color. So for example, I could get red and green, right? And then just toggle back and forth between the two of them as I see fit. So I can just go ahead and take that and draw. I can reduce its opacity, right? Look at that. I can, all these do different things. Be aware of that. Sometimes I have someone like doing something like this and watch what happens. Like they draw and they say, Mrs. Silver, this is looking weird. What's going on? And I say, let's look at your mode. And they say, oh. And if you go back to normal, then you get what you had before. So that's a simple brush tool for you, okay? And if you look over on the right, you can see that I've created something in the layer, which is this. Now I can grab it, right, and move it around. Yay. That's kind of cool. And I want to talk to you about this. So I have a layer right now that has this green blob on it. And I basically want to learn how to manipulate this and create more layers and do things with this. So if I drew something down here on the same layer, it's part of this layer. It's part of this. So now if I select this, you see it grabs even more. They're kind of bound together because it's all in the same layer. But check this out. I'm going to drag this up so you can see this better. If I click right here, create a new layer, now I have layer 2. So here, I'll grab something that's just for distinction's sake. I'll make it red, and let's grab an interesting brush, one that you probably don't, ooh, that's really big. One that you probably don't have. And I think I'm going to make the size of this very interesting looking brush smaller, like maybe this big, and click. And there we go. So you can see that it's definitely something different that's a little small. So make this bigger. There we go. And you can see that's a very different distinctive thing. Now it's on another layer. So imagine just for a second that I took a piece of glass and I spray painted the glass. Check this out. When I move this around now, it moves around on its own layer. It's separate from the other one. And check this out. If I take it, I can put it underneath layer 1. I can put it back on top of layer 1. I can make it invisible. And if I wanted to, I could even drag it down to the trash, or I think if I just hit trash, yep, it goes away. It says delete layer, and it's gone. So a lot of people try to erase stuff. This is quicker and easier. So just wanted to walk you through how to use layers. In the next video, I'm going to show you how to take this a step further and start making a design out of it. But I just want you to be familiar with the tools, how to change the colors, how to change the brushes, and how to basically start working with layers.